Everyone thinks they'd be the exception to the rule. I preach that you need to have a healthy relationship with money and be financially fit before you ever get a serious amount of money, because otherwise it'll disappear and maybe even leave you in a worse off financial situation than before you got the money. It is so important to have the strength and wherewithal to think about what you're going to do with this influx of money and have the discipline to see it through and not get thrown off track by other people or opportunities or shiny objects that are not aligned with your plan. When someone tries to skip financial fitness and go straight for bringing in the big bucks, I try to remind them of the statistics of lottery winners, professional athletes, and others who have made vast sums of money but ended up broke, bankrupt, or in an expensive lawsuit. Like the lawyer I am, I lay out my case for financial fitness first. And then after you have a foundation of financial fitness, you can turn your attention to earning or having more so that you don't lose all the money and hurt yourself in the process. But inevitably, in a half-joking way, whoever I'm explaining this to says, try me. I don't think I'm like all those people who squander their money if all of a sudden I come into a lot of money. I can handle it. I'd like to test it. And yeah, I get it. Whether we're actually ready for it or not, all of us would love a couple $1,000,000 to magically land in our bank account. We'd love to see if we're one of those people who are bad with money and lose it all, or whether we're different and one of those who wouldn't go bust like all those other people. Of course, everyone thinks that they're special and wouldn't be so dumb as to lose it all. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's no real way for most of us to test this theory with real, actual millions of dollars. But I've developed a quick test that could help tell you what's likely to happen if you came into an abundance of money. I call it the toothpaste test. And here's how it goes. I want you to imagine that you have just gone shopping and loaded up on toothpaste. Like you got a bunch of tubes, enough to last you months, if not the rest of the year. You're not running out anytime soon. Okay, so now I'd like you to envision yourself standing at your bathroom sink. You grab your toothbrush, you turn on the faucet and wet the bristles. Now you open your tube of toothpaste and squeeze some onto the brush, knowing that you have what feels like a lifetime supply of toothpaste at your disposal. Now tell me, how much toothpaste is on your toothbrush? Is it a teeny dab, just enough to get the job done, or is it the perfect pea-size amount? Or is it a chunk of toothpaste so heavy that it falls into the sink as you raise it to your mouth? Be honest, you used a lot, didn't you? So now imagine yourself down to your very last tube of toothpaste, about halfway through it, and you're again standing at your sink. You squeeze the tube and put paste on the toothbrush. This time, is it a teeny tiny amount, a perfect pea-size amount, or way too much toothpaste? This time, if you're being honest, you're trying to make that tube last as long as humanly possible, so you use the smallest amount possible that you think you can get away with. Just barely enough to get the job done. Am I right? And more importantly, why would this be? And what does it tell us? The tendency we have as humans is to use more of something when there's an abundance of it, to the point of being wasteful. That's true whether it's toothpaste, money, or any other finite resource. We tend to be much more cognizant of how much we use, and we become much more careful with it when it's running low. And that's exactly how most of us behave with money. We're quicker to spend it when it feels like there's more than enough of it, and we're much more thoughtful and careful when it feels like we're running low on funds. Now, I'm no dentist, but if I recall the directions on the toothpaste tubes correctly, it says to use a pea-sized amount. The correct amount of toothpaste to use for the health of your teeth and gums has nothing to do with how much toothpaste you have at your disposal. It's whatever your dentist or the directions say. Similarly, how much money you should spend shouldn't fluctuate with how much you have at the moment. It's whatever your budget says you should spend. If you use more toothpaste when you have a lot of it in stock, then you're probably also spending more money when you're feeling flush with it. And so, if you became a multimillionaire, it's safe to assume that you would eventually, maybe not overnight, but eventually spend it all. Well, that is until you get to the last of it, and you might really stretch out the last few thousand or tens of thousands. But until then, you'd spend, spend, spend. You may not even intend for that to happen, but you'd find yourself spending thoughtlessly. You'll say to yourself, there's so much more where that came from. What's $100 here and $1,000 there? I'm a multimillionaire. But if you use the same amount of toothpaste, regardless of how much you have, you're probably more consistent and disciplined, and you pass the toothpaste test. If you're one of those who spends the same, regardless of the fluctuations in your bank account, you're more likely to be a good millionaire, which to me means someone who can maintain their money and actually grow it and is not likely to lose it. So tell me, do you pass the toothpaste test? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.